Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine sitting down for a personal masterclass with one of history's most impactful figures.
Right.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the mind of John D. Rockefeller, guided by his own random reminiscences of men and events.
Yeah.
This isn't just some dry history lesson. It's a direct line to his surprising insights on everything from business strategy to what he called the difficult art of giving.
Indeed. And what's truly fascinating here is getting that firsthand account, unfiltered by all the sensationalism that often surrounded his public image.
Hmm.
We'll explore the foundational principles he believed led to lasting success, not just for himself, really, but for the nation.
Right.
It's a chance for you, our listener, to sort of peel back the layers and discover the why behind the what of an incredibly influential life.
And maybe find some unexpected aha moments for your own pursuit.
Exactly. Perhaps find some aha moments,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, our mission for this deep dive is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the surprising facts, directly from Rockefeller's own words,
Straight from the source.
giving you a shortcut to being well-informed about the man and his philosophies, maybe with just enough humor and anecdote to keep you hooked.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's start right at the very beginning then. What shaped this man? I mean, you might be surprised by his early business ventures and that almost Spartan upbringing that instilled his core principles.
Well, from his own account, his father played a crucial role. Maybe unconventional, but crucial.
How so?
Training in very practical ways the principles of business. From a really young age, even as a boy, Rockefeller kept a ledger A.
Ledger A.
Yeah, tracking his receipts and expenditures meticulously, every penny. And he was taught to give regularly, right from the start.
Oh,
His very first business enterprise, apparently with his mother's help, involved raising and selling turkeys.
turkeys.
Turkeys, and he notes, all receipts profit for him.
Huh. Nice work if you can get it. And his mother sounds like, well, quite the disciplinarian.
Oh, definitely.
He tells this story where, even after protesting his innocence during a whipping for some school misconduct, she just said, never mind.
Yeah, we have started in on this whipping, and it will do for the next time.
Wow. That's one way to instill discipline. No wonder he grew up so financially responsible.
That firm stance clearly had a profound impact. I mean, when he started his first job at Hewitt and Tuttle, he was 16.
16.
After tramping the streets for weeks looking for work, he mentions no pay was even discussed initially.
Just took the job?
He got $50 for 3 months' work, which he said he found entirely satisfactory.
Different times.
Absolutely. But what's really striking is his early passion for detail, for accountability.
Like what?
He describes contrasting his meticulous checking of, say, a plumber's bill, even for a few cents, with a busy neighbor who just told his bookkeeper, please pay this bill.
Right, just wave it through.
Rockefeller felt his check on that bill, his employer's money, mind you, was an executive act.
An executive act. For a plumber's bill.
Yeah, attended with more responsibility than the spending of my own funds. He decided right then that those kinds of casual methods could not succeed.
So, okay, beyond just being careful with money, what's the sort of lasting principle here for someone building something today?
I think it's about radical ownership, right from day one.
Okay.
Rockefeller saw every single penny spent, even for his boss, as his decision, his responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That mindset, that's what cultivates the discipline you need to manage massive enterprises later on. It's about treating every detail, every resource, like it's yours.
Okay, so with that foundation, that meticulousness and responsibility, how did he make the leap, starting his very own firm?
Well, he details starting Clark and Rockefeller, initial capital, $4,000.
Okay, $4,000.
And get this, his share came partly from his father, who lent him $1,000
For family, nice.
at 10% interest until he turned 21.
Wow. Okay, so a real business loan, even from family. That's telling.
Absolutely. And he talks about his elation, his pure joy at securing his first proper bank loan, $2,000 from TP Handy.
Right.
Handy accepted warehouse receipts as security. Rockefeller said he felt like a man of importance in the community.
That validation must have been huge.
And that trust was absolutely paramount.
Yeah.
He also recounts this critical moment early on. Their best customer wanted to draw funds in advance on shipments
Oh.
without a bill of lading.
Yeah.
His partner was getting impatient, wanted to just do it.
Keep the customer happy. Right.
But Rockefeller insisted, stuck to principle, refused.
Gutsy move for a new business.
Totally. And to their surprise, the customer just continued business as usual, no fallout.
Ah,
They later found out an old banker had actually put the customer up to it. It was a test of their integrity.
A test. Wow.
And passing that test,
Yeah.
Rockefeller said, ultimately do us great good.
That's a powerful lesson right there. Integrity isn't just ethical, it's strategic capital.
Yeah. Exactly. Real capital.
But it wasn't just about sticking to principles in isolation. It was very much about the people he brought in.
The associates. He gives them huge credit.
Immense credit. He recalls meeting John D. Archbold, who famously signed a hotel register with his business slogan, John D. Archbold, $4 a beeble.
Even though oil was selling for much less.
Way less. Shows that ambition, that sort of forward thinking. And Archbold had this wit, too. On the witness stand once, asked his occupation.
Yeah.
He just replied, to clamor for dividends.
Uh-huh. Gotta love that.
And then there's H.M. Flagler. Rockefeller described him as always on the active side of every question.
Proactive.
Very. Flagler insisted on building quality refineries, not flimsy shacks. He believed if we went into the oil business at all, we should do the work as well as we knew how.
Build it right from the start.
Right. And he even tells this funny story about Flagler's contract drafting style. A land description apparently ran south to a mullen stock.
A mullen stock.
Serious.
Flagler just accepted it, totally confident, knowing they'd make it precise later. Details could be fixed. The core deal was sound.
Trust in the process and the person.
Exactly. And Flagler's idea that a friendship founded on business was a good deal better than a business founded on friendship.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite an insight.
It really is. What about that story with the German baker?
Oh, that's a great one. Flagler felt this baker, who'd invested his small fortune in a little refinery, was on his conscience. He invited him to join their venture.
Okay.
The baker couldn't decide. Take cash or take Standard Oil certificates. Flagler advised him, take half cash, half certificates.
Hedging his bets.
Well, turned out to be brilliant advice. Those certificates prospered enormously. Flagler looked out for him.
And S.V. Harkness, after that big fire.
Yeah, Harkness immediately offered Rockefeller money, no questions asked. Just said, I may want to call upon you for the use of some money. Simple as that.
Even though Rockefeller didn't end up needing it.
Didn't need it, but Rockefeller never forgot the whole-souled way in which he offered it. And another guy, Stillman Witt, a bank director,
What about him?
literally brought his personal strongbox to a meeting, offering his own security to make sure Rockefeller could get the large loans he needed.
Wow. Personal guarantees like that.
It just highlights the incredible value Rockefeller placed on character, on trust. In those days, personal reputation was the ultimate collateral, often.
Yeah.
He emphasizes, without this, business associates cannot get the best out of their work.
Makes sense.
And these stories also show his method, right? Patient discussion, getting everyone on board, unanimous decisions.
Even if it took longer.
Even if it meant not going as fast as the most progressive ones wished, nor quite so carefully as the conservatives desired. They always reached consensus.
So the lesson there isn't speed, it's alignment. Shared conviction.
Shared conviction, exactly. That's the bedrock.
Okay, so from these solid foundations, these key people, this sense of trust, he built Standard Oil. But the industry itself was, well, you described it as chaotic.
Utterly chaotic. Imagine the Wild West, but with oil. Early refining was simple, very profitable at first.
So everyone jumped in.
The butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, as Rockefeller put it, everyone piled in, which, of course, led straight to overproduction.
Prices collapsed.
Plummeted. A great depression in the industry, he called it. That chaos forced them to innovate, to find a better way.
And their solution was?
Clear. More capital. Get the best talent, buy up the biggest and best refineries, and centralize administration.
Economy of scale.
Efficiency. Exactly. Bring order. He talks about the auction for their initial business back in 1865. They bid all the way up to $72,500.
Is it worth that much?
But they didn't think so at the time. Far more than they thought it was worth, he admits. But it was a necessary strategic step for their future plans.
So their grand strategy was fundamentally about bringing order and efficiency to this really turbulent market.
Yes. And that inevitably meant pushing beyond just local markets, going global.
Which required a revolution in transportation, I imagine. Can't ship oil globally in barrels easily.
Absolutely not. He explains how shipping in barrels became totally unsustainable, way too expensive.
So pipelines.
They pioneered the vast pipeline system that took many millions of capital, he says, and even required getting franchises from the States. A huge undertaking.
Wow.
Then came tank cars, tank steamers. Rockefeller insists every single one of those steps was necessary if the business was to be properly developed and to furnish the world with light.
Furnish the world with light. That's quite a mission statement.
It is, and he takes obvious pride in Standard Oil bringing more than $1 million gold into the U.S. weekly from products made by American labor.
Okay, but despite all that innovation, that global reach, you still have the octopus's image, the
Yeah.
accusations of crushing competitors. How does he address that in his reminiscences?
He tackles it head-on. He unequivocally states that Standard Oil has, and always has had, and always will have, hundreds of active competitors.
There's hundreds. Really?
That's his claim. He attributes their success not to crushing rivals, but to managing affairs well and economically and with great vigor. Efficiency again?
Mm-hmm.
He points to serious competition from other countries, like Russia, Burma. They had to adapt constantly to tariffs, local prejudices, and strange customs.
It wasn't a cakewalk.
Far from it. He even notes they had to basically teach people, like in China, how to burn oil safely by making lamps for them.
Creating the market.
Creating the market, yeah.
Yeah.
And figuring out logistics, packing oil to be carried by camels or on the backs of runners in the most remote portions of the world. It really shows that global perspective.
He also had to deal with the public perception of Standard Oil's dividends, right? They seemed astronomical. 40% on a $100 million capital stock.
Yeah, that 40% number caused a stir. But he clarified that was 40% on the original capital invested years before.
No, okay. Not on the current value.
Exactly. The actual value of the company's assets, he explained, had ballooned several hundred%. Why? Reinvested earnings, ruthless efficiency, and acquiring assets like pipelines and oil lands when costs were rock bottom.
Smart acquisitions.
Very. He gives an example. Buying dock property cheap, developing it, and seeing its value increase 40 or 50 times.
So the underlying assets grew massively.
Massively. He argues if they updated the capitalization to reflect that true value, the dividend rate would look more like a moderate 6–8%.
So it was about the denominator, really.
Precisely. He called it a natural and absolutely normal increase in the value of the company's possessions, much like, say, the Astors did with New York land. It wasn't financial wizardry, just reinvestment and growth.
Okay, that clarifies the dividend issue. But what about that really specific damaging accusation? The one that he personally robbed a defenseless widow when buying the Bacchus Oil Company.
Right, that was a serious charge, and he goes into remarkable detail to refute it.
What's his side of the story?
He states clearly he had almost nothing to do with the actual negotiations. He met Mrs. Bacchus initially. She asked him to handle it, but he declined. Said he wasn't familiar enough with the specifics.
So he delegated it?
Yes. He says he advised her not to take any hasty action, even offered Standard's own rail cars to transport her oil in the meantime. The actual deal was handled by her representatives and Standard's people.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. He explicitly states that when his own experts valued her property, he personally asked them to add $10,000 to their valuation.
Add money. Why?
To make doubly sure that she received full value. His words. He wanted to be beyond reproach.
So he felt he overpaid, if anything.
That's the implication. And then he recounts getting this unkind letter of complaint from her later. He responded in detail, offering to completely reverse the deal. She gives back the money, gets the property back, or give her Standard Oil shares instead.
And she?
Accepted neither offer. He even includes corroborating letters and affidavits in the book.
From who?
One from H.M. Bacchus, the deceased husband's brother. He called Mrs. Bacchus's letter unjust and unreasonable, confirmed the sale was the best thing that ever happened to her financially. The Rockefeller paid 3 times the value, and his plan saved our company from ruin.
Wow. The brother said that?
Yep. He even described her thinking Rockefeller literally robbed her of millions until it has become a mania. And affidavits from her own representatives confirmed she was fully cognizant, fully approved, entirely satisfied at the time, and there were 0 threats nor intimidations.
That's pretty comprehensive pushback. It underscores that belief in documented fairness you mentioned.
Exactly. Reputation defended with facts.
Okay, another big one, railroad rebates. That was a huge point of criticism, often painted as unfair, almost corrupt. How does Rockefeller explain that?
He frames it very pragmatically. Essentially, he says it was just the railroad's method of businesses back then. Standard practice.
Standard practice. Rebates.
Yeah. There was a public published rate, but the real rate was often lower because railroads would give back a portion as a rebate. It was a matter of bargain, he says, and kept secret from competitors.
So everyone was trying to get the best secret deal?
Pretty much. And Standard Oil, because of its advantages, huge volume, prime location in Cleveland with multiple rail lines and water transport, simply made the best bargains possible.
They had leverage.
They had significant leverage. But he also argues they provided real advantages to the railroads in return.
Like what?
Huge, predictable quantities of freight, shipped in efficient carloads and train loads. They provided their own loading and discharging facilities, guaranteed regular traffic. They even carry their own fire insurance, exempting the railroads from liability.
Okay, so they made their freight easier and cheaper for the railroads to handle.
Exactly. He argues this made standards traffic far more profitable for the railroads, even at the lower rebated rate, compared to smaller, irregular shipments. It was mutually beneficial, in his view.
So it wasn't just squeezing them, it was providing value too.
That's his argument. He even reveals sometimes Standard Oil paid rebates to the railroads when pipelines covered part of a journey the railroad might have otherwise handled.
Interesting twist.
Yeah, and he ends that whole discussion with this wry quote from a Boston merchant he knew, talking about rebates. "I'm opposed on principle to the whole system of rebates and drawbacks unless I am in it."
Huh. Sums up the pragmatism, maybe the hypocrisy of the era.
Perfectly.
Okay, so Rockefeller eventually steps back from day-to-day management around age 55, though the 1893 panic kept him involved longer. Then he shifts this immense focus, this energy, to philanthropy. But he calls it the difficult art of giving. Why difficult?
Well, he felt that just spending money on things on yourself soon palls upon one. It gets old. What people truly seek, he believed, can't just be bought.
Right.
So for the wealthy, the only way to get a real equivalent for money spent was to cultivate a taste for giving, but giving where the money produces a lasting effect, a lasting gratification.
Not just temporary relief.
No. And he makes this really critical distinction. He says, the best philanthropy is not what is usually called charity.
Okay. So what is it then?
It is, in my judgment, the investment of effort or time or money, carefully considered, note the carefully considered, with relation to the power of employing people at a remunerative wage, to expand and develop the resources at hand, and to give opportunity for progress and helpful labor where it did not exist before.
So it's strategic investment again, creating self-sufficiency, opportunity, not just handing out money.
Precisely. Job creation, resource development, enabling progress. That was true philanthropy for him, more akin to venture capital for social good, perhaps.
And he applied this kind of strategic thinking even to areas like medical research, didn't he? There's an incredible story there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
He talks about Dr. Simon Flexner at the Institute for Medical Research, which Rockefeller funded. Flexner found a cure for epidemic cerebrospinal meningitis, saving scores of human lives, Rockefeller notes, at the cost of maybe 15 animals in the lab. But the most dramatic story involves another researcher there, Dr. Alexis Carroll.
What did Carroll do?
It's intense. There was a 5-day-old baby dying from internal bleeding. Desperate situation. Carroll performed the country's first direct blood transfusion on an infant.
On a 5-day-old? How's that even possible?
The baby's vein was described as being about the size of a match and the consistency of wet cigarette paper. Incredibly delicate.
Unbelievable.
But Carroll succeeded. The doctors who were there called it one of the most dramatic incidents in the history of surgery. They watched the baby's blue lips turn red, a pink glow spread over its body, and it started to cry lustily.
Goodness. Did the baby survive?
Made a complete recovery. And the father later testified about this very experience to argue against bills that would restrict animal experimentation needed for such research.
What a powerful example of what he meant by scientific giving, investing in research that has tangible, life-saving impact.
Exactly. It wasn't just sentiment. It was strategic investment in knowledge and cures.
He also talks about a fundamental thing in all help, a core principle for giving.
Yes. He states it very plainly. The only thing which is of lasting benefit to a man is that which he does for himself.
Okay.
Money, which comes to him without effort on his part, is seldom a benefit and often a curse.
Strong words. A curse.
Yeah. So for him, true philanthropy must aim to help people to help themselves. It's about building their personality from within, building capacity, not just providing external support.
Sounds empowering people.
Right. And because he believed there's never enough money for all the world's problems, every dollar spent on uplift must be used with the greatest intelligence, no waste, maximum impact.
And that kind of thinking, that demand for intelligence and efficiency, led him to push for these benevolent trusts, right? Applying business structures to charity.
Precisely. He wanted philanthropy run like a business with rigor and accountability.
And there's that famous anecdote about him and Dr. Harper, the first president of the University of Chicago. The cartoons.
Oh yeah, the cartoons depicted Harper as a hypnotist, or constantly chasing Rockefeller through the snow.
With Rockefeller dropping million-dollar bills to distract him.
Exactly. But Rockefeller makes a point to correct the record. He says, during the entire period of his presidency, he never once either wrote me a letter or asked me personally for a dollar of money.
Never. How did the university get funding then?
Through formal channels. The university's needs were presented in writing by its officers. A committee of trustees met annually with Rockefeller's own Department of Benevolence.
Very structured.
Very. He insists that it's the sound and justifying worth of an institution that attracts funding, not personal interviews and impassioned appeals. That's why he demanded written applications for all aid requests. No emotional pleas, just the facts and the plan.
That must have seemed quite cold or bureaucratic to some in the traditional charity world. Did he get pushback on this benevolent trust idea?
He certainly advocated strongly for it. He believed in things like conditional gifts, for instance.
Meaning?
Not to force people or control them, but to root the institution in the affections of as many people as possible. Get more stakeholders involved, ensure their watchful interest and cooperation, spread the ownership, essentially.
Interesting.
He even praised the Roman Catholic Church for its organizational efficiency with funds, noting how far a given sum of money has gone in the hands of priests and nuns.
High praise for their structure.
Yeah, he contrasted that with well-meaning, but, in his view, misinformed charitable efforts. He gives an example of people raising money for a new orphan asylum in a city that already had vastly more beds for children than there were applicants.
Ouch. Doing good, but inefficiently?
Exactly. His core belief was that the whole machinery of benevolence is conducted upon more or less haphazard principles.
So he's professionalizing.
Absolutely. He argued that successful businessmen as a class have a high standard of honor and that their skills could vastly improve philanthropy. He actually recounts throwing away his prepared notes at a University of Chicago dinner.
Spoke off the cuff.
Yes, to make an impassioned plea for this benevolent trust plan. He urged the wealthy men there to erect a foundation, a trust, and engage directors who will make it a life work to manage this business of benevolence properly and effectively.
My life's work.
And he added, and I beg of you, attend to it now, don't wait. Real urgency.
Okay, we've covered a tremendous amount. Early business tests, building Standard Oil, this revolutionary approach to philanthropy. As we wrap up, what are the absolute key takeaways from Rockefeller's random reminiscences that really resonate today for you, our listener?
Well, he sort of sums up his core business philosophy in what he calls the laws of trade. Simple but profound rules.
Like what?
He urges us, follow the established laws of high-class dealing. Be ethical. Keep to broad and sure lines. Don't chase fads. Watch the natural operations of trade and keep within them. Don't even think of temporary or sharp advantages.
Play the long game.
Exactly. Study your capital needs, build reserves to withstand setbacks, and never, ever deceive yourself about the actual conditions.
Yeah.
Be brutally honest internally.
Radical self-honesty.
Yes. And he firmly states, the man who starts out simply with the idea of getting rich won't succeed. You must have a larger ambition.
Purpose beyond profit.
Right. He believed deeply that there could be no permanent success without fair dealing that leads to widespread confidence in the man himself, and that is the real capital we all prize and work for. Trust, again, as the ultimate asset.
He also had that unique perspective on public opinion, wealth, captured in that funny story about his Irish neighbor.
Oh, Mr. Foley, yes. Rockefeller was building his estate at Pocantico Hills, and apparently he didn't like the look of his neighbor's extremely ugly house.
So what did he do?
He planted huge trees to block the view. Classic Rockefeller, perhaps. But when someone asked the neighbor, Mr. Foley, why Rockefeller did that, Foley, with this quick wit, just shot back. It's envy. They can't stand looking at the evidence of me prosperity.
Huh. Turning it right back on him.
Exactly. Rockefeller tells the story against himself, which I think shows his understanding of how perception works, how facts get distorted, and maybe his belief that the real reasons for things were often more practical or principled than people assume.
And he ends the reminiscences with a sense of optimism, despite all the criticism and market panics he lived through. What's his final word for people looking to build and contribute today?
Deep optimism. Despite facing multiple financial panics, intense public scrutiny, he truly believed America's potential was immense, that resources were scarcely touched, and opportunities were multiplied 1,000-fold compared to his youth.
Encouraging.
Very. He encourages facing facts, adapting to natural conditions, and cautions strongly against seeking a short road to success.
Yeah.
No shortcuts. But his ultimate message, I think, is a provocative challenge for you, the listener.
Which is?
If the cooperative principle, working together, is so vital for creating wealth and driving progress, as he argued it absolutely was for Standard Oil, then how much more vital is that principle for giving, for philanthropy?
Ah.
And the unspoken question is, are we today truly applying the same level of rigor, strategic thinking, and cooperation to our collective efforts for human uplift as we apply to our business and personal ambitions?
That is a question to chew on. What a fascinating glimpse into a complex mind. A really deep dive into the practical wisdom, the enduring philosophies of John D. Rockefeller, straight from his own words.
Yeah.
His insights on everything from, disciplined accounting way back as a boy to the strategic investment required for effective philanthropy. They really challenge us to think about not just what we do, but how and why we do it.
And that raises that final question for you to really mull over. If Rockefeller believed that knowledge is most valuable when understood and applied, how can you take these specific principles we've talked about?
Like the radical self-honesty in business.
Yes, or the idea that true giving is an investment in human flourishing, not just charity. How can you apply those in your own life, your own work, to create a lasting impact?
Mm.
And remember his final provocative thought about those benevolent trusts. He envisioned them being led by people who not only know how to make money, but who accept the great responsibility of administering it wisely.
Is that the standard we hold for philanthropic leadership today?
Is it, and should it be, something to consider?
Definitely something to consider. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel better informed, maybe a little more intrigued about exploring the fundamental principles that drive success, both personal and societal.
Hope so.
Until next time, keep digging.